Can everybody see the chants? Yes. I have this bar in my face. I'll move it there. Which, of course, is not okay. We'll start with Om, of course. Can you hear the harmonium okay? And my voice at the same time? Or no, is it cutting in and out?
Yeah, I think you're not on
Original sound.
that's it.
Oh no, I am, but maybe it's not coming out of my microphone. Okay, this should be better. Take 2. Hear my voice and the harmonium or no?
I can't hear anything, Francis.
Oh.
Oh no. We have to sing it without harmonium today.
We could, but maybe, oh no, now the sound of musicians is off. Okay, now it'll work. Goodness.
Okay.
Technology. Just give me a thumbs up if it's working, okay? Here we go. So call and response. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram chaiva narottamam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Devim saraswati vyasam. Devim saraswati vyasam. Tato jayam udirayet. Tato jayam
Thank you so much, Francis. Welcome, everyone. And we had a request from someone about just digging deeper into a line and picking out dhatus and demonstrating how to use the Monier Williams dictionary. So Francis is just going to kind of wing it, and we're all just going to kind of join in and maybe we can bring those things up, Francis, and we can just look at things like that together and chip in. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Francis.
All right. Well, I first just wanted to, and hopefully this isn't like me opening up a can of worms to like a whole large discussion, because that's usually what we say for the end. But I wasn't there for the last class with Professor Bryant, so I was just wondering, because I know he really took to heart different comments and feedback for those sort of tester sessions, how the last one felt for everybody, and if it was like just how it felt for all of you, and if you had anything else that you wanted to add about the experience.
It was traumatic.
Traumatic.
I love your honesty, Jan. I was just like waiting for you to.
Okay, traumatic.
I could have vomited on the spot. I was that nervous, I tell you.
I know. Yeah, I totally. You and Sylvia, you were brilliant. Everyone, and
we lived through it, Sylvia, didn't we?
Yeah, and I know exactly how you feel, because when I had to do mine, and Francis will know this, Professor Bryant was talking for like, I don't know, 20 minutes before I got to present, and the whole time I was just like, my heart was here, and I was just like, please, can we, so it's no small thing to present. But I just, yeah, go on.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say, in terms of the subject matter for tonight, I mean, obviously, the reason that I personally felt intimidated, should we say, is because on previous occasions, the people who presented were so like amazing, it's like over the top, amazing. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, I can't keep up with this. It's really so. If there's any tips for how to do that, like delving into it and finding those resources and that, I'd be very happy to hear them.
I mean, I just want to add, because I spoke to Professor Bryant afterwards, and just sort of talked about when he puts people on the spot, when you've kind of prepared what you've prepared, and then he puts you on the spot with more stuff that isn't prepared. Talissa is here, isn't she? Yeah, jumped in on Friday brilliantly and just, helped out. And I know that he's sort of saying, well, that's what we'll do. We'll just put extra questions out to the whole community, and then we can all just chip in and get involved. But I do want to stress that he is so impressed with everyone that has presented, and he's so chuffed, that we're all committed and that, we're doing it. So yeah, I understand your feelings, Jan, I do. But yeah, we're all in it. It doesn't matter what stage we're at.
Oh no, I meant it from a really positive point of view.
Yeah.
Say that, obviously it's great in a way that we're not all on the same level either. We don't. So any help that we can gather for like digging deeper, that for me that's a real bonus kind of thing. Yeah. And thanks again to Talissa for jumping in and helping us out on that.
And he said something about maybe Lulu, somebody is collecting all the scripts and would then send it out to maybe maybe to I don't know whom. I would be very interested because, as you said, I mean, I sometimes have trouble following the thing on the screen, but once I see it written down, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too. I think the pace at which, and that's why I was just asking for the last class, because certainly the pace for the first class was really quick, and we were trying to get through like 3-4 verses in the 2-hour time that we had together, and that's a lot. And Diana has been in a study group, and I have been in a study group together, where we would take like several weeks to just do one verse, because we look up each word and we chant each word and all this kind of thing, which is at the complete other extreme of what we were doing with Professor Bryant. So that was one of the things, was to slow it down a little bit more, because not everybody can follow at that speed. And that was kind of our thought process for today's community class, is to really go through things step by step together and kind of make it more of a group effort. And then that way we can kind of all share how we go about breaking things down and approaching a verse. So I thought we could just do the next verse, but Alice told me we didn't get through all of the assigned verses anyhow. But this way it's like new for everybody. We're all kind of on the same page with it. So it's this verse. It's verse 13 is the next one in the list of, well, we got up until 12 in the assigned verses. So I guess we can just look at the words in the verse, and anyone can jump in as to like any of these words that might be familiar, just like off the bat. And I know we have them on the side here, but if you were to just look at the verse on its own, anything already kind of jumping out as familiar.
Chara, to be old.
Jada, to be old. Yeah, that was a word that came up in our vocab. Yeah, that's great. That really stuck with you, Diana. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the rest like Afmin and Tata, and they have the body. Yes. Okay, I'm quiet.
Okay, yeah, okay, great. So you have Jada, yeah, and you were mentioning, so there's a correlative and relative. There are correlative and relative words in there, right? And those are, somebody else wants to jump in.
I can see the tatra, but I was looking for the other one.
What did you see, Jen?
I saw tatra in the last one.
There is a tatra, but there's also, do you see one up here? This is a
Yatatata.
Oh,
Yata tata. Yes, Federico. So the yata tata, right? We've seen yad tad, yada tada, and here we have a yata tata. Great. Anything else that jumps out? Yeah, I could see up here, this is a common Sandhi we see a lot, right? The Soham rule is what Janaki calls it. So this tells me that this was aha before, right? Likely maybe it was a long ah, I don't know, because it became an o, and then that this must have been what was preceding it must have been ah. So asmin also kind of rings a bell. Maybe I don't remember exactly where it comes from, but I can tell that this is something that I've heard before in one of the paradigms. So it's good to kind of just like already, in my opinion, this is my approach, to look at things and to already pick out, okay, things that are familiar, right? And Diana was mentioning dehe. This is a word that she also picked out as familiar. Okay, I mean, we kind of have a cheat code with Sargent because he already tells us on the side what things are. But let's say we didn't have that and we just wanted to look up this word. So given what I just said, what do you think we should look up together? Anybody? If you were looking up this word, what would you look
Well,
up?
maybe a verb like muhyati, first guessing the root. It's at the end,
Oh,
as quite
you want to
often.
start with muhyati.
Yeah, because the verbs often govern the whole sentence.
Okay. We could start
So
there.
obviously, we would not. Well, I will give a chance for others to figure out which tense it is, etc. But we should probably look up the root after we know what is
Okay.
the root, right? And this is a relatively easy case.
Okay, so Federico suggests we start by looking up muhyati. Is this good for everybody? We can look that up for sure. So we can look it up on Monier Williams.
But we need to know the root, right?
Yes, but let's say you don't know the root. You're just looking
Oh,
at a
yeah.
word,
So
right?
how would you figure out? Yeah.
Exactly. So what would you do?
Well, I would suggest that once you catch, your attention should catch the ya and think of what ya is a marker of, right? And T is obviously a third person singular ending from the first conjugation, or how people call it, like present tense. Right.
Okay,
And
great.
yeah, it is a marker of something, guys, right?
So that leaves us with what would you look up?
I would look up muh.
Muh. Perfect. Let's look up muh. So I have
And
mine on. Yeah.
and I would
Go
think
ahead.
of ya as a passive marker.
Okay, great. So we're looking up muh. Right.
But maybe it's not, because you know, yeah, maybe it's
Yes,
not.
because I would also
Sorry.
look at gunners as well. I'd always look through my card of the gunners and I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably not. And to tell you why, because otherwise it would have been muhyate. Because after you do the passive with ya, it should be atmanipada. And clearly it's parasmanipada. So maybe it's the fourth gana.
Yeah, maybe because that's what I would do. I'd have my like card where I've written them out and I'll just like scan through things and be like, that's just something I do.
No, that's perfect. That's great. So if we have muh already, and then we looked at, or we're thinking it could be muh as the dhatu, and we look it up. Here we have muh, and we have the fourth gana parasmaipada. Right. So that could be It could be that. It also has atmanepada down here. So it's this, then we, sorry.
Are you looking at Monier Williams?
Oh,
No.
are you guys not seeing Monier
Oh,
Williams
I'm
right now?
just seeing the verse.
How about now? Still no? Okay, let me go back. I have to stop share and reshare.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah? And then here you see it has muhyati. Right? So for a fourth gana, we have...
Oh, yeah, here you go. Bingo.
Yeah. For a fourth gana, we have a gana sign. Is everybody following so far? You can stop me at any point if people are confused, because this is the point of this, to really go slow. We're all following? So we have muh. And then here it says 4p. And then luckily it has our muhyati, so sometimes this happens and you're like, perfect, there it is. But the ya comes from the fact that the fourth gana has as a gana sign, you add a ya, right, to the dhatu. Does anything need to happen to the dhatu? Does anybody remember the, let's see if I could pull up our Goldman text while we're here, unless somebody wants to fish around. Does anyone find it?
Yeah, there's no gunation or anything as far as I can see on the, I don't know what section it is.
Yeah, I think it's in lesson 7, the Gana system.
Yeah.
Let me just open
7.12.
7.12, that's right.
And it's pedagogically a very useful example because yeah, it's a false passive, right? And you could know that it's false passive and has fourth gana because it's parasmapada T ending. Because if it was passive, all the passive regardless of the original root would be atmanepada.
That's correct. Okay, so here I have it here. Go back to my Zoom. Here. So this is our lesson 7, 7.12, like Alice just said. And if we look here, for the fourth gana, the example is div, and then it says that the gana sign is ya, and it's suffixed directly to the root. There's no stem strength, so we don't have to worry about strengthening, weakening, that sort of a thing. It says here to note the long E, so it's just noted there. I don't know if it makes div just an exception. And then the meaning. So yeah, you would take your root. This root we have here is muh. You would add a ya, and then the parasmapada ending T. And so we have the lat, this present tense, third person singular. Muhyati. Is this good for everyone?
So I'm a little deluded here. This like the English translation is passive, but
Matthew.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Because how would you do it in English in the active voice?
Well, the active version would be to stupefy or to bewilder.
Oh, I see. Someone else.
I bewildered.
Yeah.
Somebody.
You're right. You're
But
right. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
But this translation is to. But I guess it doesn't really matter. Like parasmapada or atmanepada doesn't necessarily indicate that it's passive or active, right?
No, it
That's
is
been established.
indicating, but because the rule
Not
is
always though. I mean, obviously
always,
here
always. So regardless of the root, whether it's parasmay or atmane, if you form a passive adding ya, it's always atmanepada. So the fact that it's not the atmanepada ending tells you that it's not the passive construction.
No, Matthew's question is not about whether it's a passive or active construction. He's wondering if it were atmane pada as just the base verb versus parasmapada, if that would change the voicing
It would change because then we would be wondering whether it's fourth Ghana, false positive, false passive, or a real passive, right?
I think
Yeah,
Matthew's.
that's what I mean, because
Okay.
the English translation is a passive,
Yes.
but
So this is
but
this
it
is it.
seems to have a fourth Ghana parasmaipada construction is what it seems to be, according to
Yeah.
Monier Williams and looking up the fourth Ghana, it all seems to follow that, and it also it indicates in the Monier Williams that the passive versions are rare and that they're quite different.
Okay.
Momoa, Mumuhe.
I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, that maybe there's. Okay. So a verb could either be parasmaipada or atmanepada, right? But verbs could also be. So this is something that Goldman talks about in his text. There is also active voice and passive voice. So in this case, atmanepada and parasmaipada conjugations, they used to be called active and middle voice, because one is when it used to be applied where one was you're speaking about others and one is when you're speaking about yourself. But I think now we're confusing atmane and parasmaipada with active and passive.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
exactly right.
So right now, all that we know, without getting too ahead of ourselves, let's be like very beginners minded about this. All we know is that we have a verb, its dhatu is muh, it's conjugated in, it's fourth gana and parasmaipada, and it's conjugated in the present third person singular. And then when we kind of piece everything together at the end, then we can look at these sorts of things, because sometimes the translation is like the best approximation in English and not necessarily like directly the grammatical application, because sometimes those things don't line up quite
Absolutely right.
the same. Yeah. So that was one word we looked up. That was great. Where else would one might go? Like
Just a note on looking up the last word, we in fact see the verb of the second part, because we have this yata tata construction. So it is the verb of the tata construction. Of course, there are two possibilities now to see what is the subject of this verb, who's the subject of the verb, who's the object, etc., or move to the yata part, or do both process in parallel, or whichever you want. Yep.
okay. Does anybody else want to jump in as to what they might look up next? This is great. These are great lines of thinking.
Well, going back to the top, I remember the asmin I recognize from the newer paradigms of the additional pronoun constructions that we had, I think in like chapter 20 or 19, chapter 19.
Yes.
Great.
Which pronoun it is?
I think it's the first one.
Idam, right?
It's the s.l.o.w.l.y, which we had forever.
Ayam. It's the locative of ayam.
If idam, you need the paradigm of idam.
Okay. Who knows? Do you want to check where the paradigm is, and then we can all look it up together?
Yeah.
Okay. This is great. Yeah, we can tell that this is some kind of pronoun. So maybe, Diana, your guess was that it was the Saha paradigm. Do you remember where that is?
I was on the asmin, and it's at the very beginning. I think it's chapter 4 or something.
I think it's chapter 4 as well.
S.l.o.w.l.y, which we had forever.
Yeah, let's check. Let's check. Why not? Here we go. Saha tau te, tam tau tan, tena. I don't see an asmin here. I do see a tasmin.
Oh.
But there's no.
I found it in chapter 19, but I just have it on my.
Yes.
On my.
It's idam. Yeah.
What is 19? What, Matthew?
On 19.1.
Sorry if this is making
Do you guys hear a strange sound?
Yeah, I hear some kind of. I do. Hang on. Okay, is it gone?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was coming from Sylvia's. Sorry, Matthew, can you repeat?
19.1. It's the first page of 19. Lesson
All right,
19.
almost there, almost there, almost there. This was the most stressful part of the call for me.
Yeah.
Looking for things. I'm like, I'm looking.
Yeah.
19.1. Okay, here we go.
So there it is under the
Locative.
Saptami.
Saptami Asmin.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we know that it is in the Saptami Vibhakti for ayam. And which one is ayam? Is that a
That. So in this, for
that.
example, and this,
This or that.
this or
just
that.
like
Yeah.
a general
Yeah.
neutral this or that, not a he or her
Yeah.
or me or you, just a this. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Great. And then we know it's Saptami, so we know it's in this. This. Great. Okay. Any other? What would be our next word? Anyone else have a word they'd like to look up? We can do together.
Well, if we are at Asmin, then we can look. If you know the word, the stem for dehino, right? And we have the sandhi of dehinaha asmin, because clearly dehino and asmin are related, and since they precede yata, they probably have a role in both yata and tata, right? So
Okay.
they play a key role.
So we want to look up day, but we're not sure what the root is. So we could just try looking up the word
Yeah.
as it is.
Yeah.
But of
Well,
course, we're not. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So maybe slowly moving till dehin, because aha is probably just from the
Some kind of
conjugation.
ending.
Declension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Declension.
Okay, so we can start with dehin because we could tell ourselves what's tacked onto the end is some kind of declension. So we could start there and then see what we get. All right. Dehin, having a body, corporeal, a living creature, man, the spirit, soul. So we have dehin as a noun.
And by the way, you could immediately reflect, if you know deha as body, that is formed from deha and in, like yogin, right?
Okay, perfect.
A body
Great.
possessor.
So that's the thing. So let's say that I didn't know that. I mean, we do because we'll see later on the next word is dehe, right? So then maybe we would look up. So okay, we looked up dehin. It's a living creature, a man. It's masculine. Yeah, this is good. So we'll start
Yep.
there, and then we'll move over. But this is great. This is great thinking for the next part because we're going to look at.
Yeah. And we
Professor
do
Bryant.
not need it necessarily here. It's an extra, the word formation.
But Professor Bryant was also asking us about word formation, so it's good. It's good to know, to think, to go there later. But again, we're being like very beginner about it, so we're going to say, okay, we found a word. It's, well, here it says embodied, have a body, and then we'd want to try to figure out. So if we have dehin, what? And let's say we don't have this part here. If we want to try to figure out what declension it might like, what case it's in. Well, so dehin, and it said it was masculine when we looked it up on Monier Williams. So what paradigm are we going to look up in our Goldman text?
Purusha, would it?
Well, what's the ending of the word we found?
You know, you just showed the book, and I think he's wrong. I think it should be dehin, like yogin, and not dehinas or whatever you
Okay,
said.
exactly. So let's say we looked up the
Yeah.
word and we found dehin. So now we're thinking, what words, what paradigm in Goldman had the in ending? Do we know? Anyone? Let's see my text.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah.
Not yogin.
Not yogin, though it should have been, right? But
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
example. Yeah, I don't have my text here, so we'll have to. Let me think. We had, I think, no, that's Muni. We had Shatru. What did he use for in to find? Everyone should be furiously looking through their Goldman
Yeah.
book.
I should find my book.
I know. I think I packed mine away when we went on vacation. Let's see.
Is it
Maybe I have.
Munihi? No.
That's an ihi ending. This is close. This is getting closer, but we're looking for an in ending word. That's okay. I thought that too. An in ending. Which word did he use for in?
Chapter 8, I think.
Chapter 8. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sylvia. Where am I? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. What do we find in 8?
It says noun stems. Oh no, I think it's in an.
Oh,
Sorry.
these are uns. Yeah, that's okay. These are un words. He must have done in. I'm trying to think of where the in.
It's chapter 12.
12. Thank you, Lulu.
It's actually ah plus in. Is used freely to form adjectives or nouns that indicate that the thing which the suffix is added is possessed by or in some way an attribute.
Ooh. This is so great because then this brings us back to Federico's point about the word formation, that it's deha plus in. Excellent. What point was it that mentions that here in here? Here.
12.0.
Right in 12.0. In is used frequently in Sanskrit to form adjectives or nouns that indicate that the thing denoted by the word to which the suffix is added is possessed by or in some way an attribute of the word that the newly formed adjective modifies. So then when we look back at our verse, I mean, kind of lucky that it has dehin and it has deha, right? But it became dehe because it's locative. But this gives us a clear example of the in added on to a word to make it mean the possession of something, a body, and then one who is embodied, right? Or has a body.
And by the way, it's indeed genitive of
Okay.
yogin. Yeah.
Because if we look at, that's where we were headed, right? We were
Yeah.
headed to the paradigm. So if
Yes.
they did have yogin. So perfect.
Yeah.
So perfect. So we had dehina, right? So we're looking for an aha ending.
Yeah. It's on the next page.
The next page.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 208.
Well, if we're
Oh
just going
yeah,
to be
it could
again,
be fifth case. Yeah.
if we're
Good
beginners
point.
minding
Good point.
it could either be panchami or it could be shashti.
Good
So it's
point.
one of those. So for now we could say 5 or 6. So it could be, if it were 6, it would be a possessive. And then if it were a panchami, it would be, what's the word we would use for panchami?
Ablative, typically.
Ablative. Yeah, so it would be from, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And for a possessive, it would be of. So just thinking about translation. Yeah? Okay, so it could be a 5th. So we know this is dehin, the noun. It could be a 5th or 6th. Great. We looked up usman. Usman we found was this or that in the locative, so in this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a yata. Well, maybe we can look at where was the yata to the... Oh, Jim. Yes, Jim.
It's fast discussion, so I may be way behind, so forgive me if I am. But I just looked it up in Monier Williams, and it is there as an adjective, dehin.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what the conclusion you came to through all the
Yes.
searching? Okay, great.
Yeah, we found dehin, well, as a noun, and nouns could be, it can either be like a noun or an adjective. Yes. And then we were finding when we looked it up in Goldman, that in could be added to a word as a possessor of that previous thing. So it
To
can
make
that.
the adjective, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, it's exactly what we just discovered. So then my suggestion was we could look up yata to find out, what the translation is, because that is also a section in Goldman. Does anyone remember where that section is, where we did correlative and relative?
Mm-hmm. It's the YKT section, but
Yes,
which
the
number?
KYT words.
Or
yes.
KYT, okay.
Kayata words. Where do we have that?
Chapter 6.
6, yeah.
6. Excellent. Let's go to chapter 6. Oh, sorry. I moved myself away from
And it
diversity.
starts at 6.3.
Wonderful. Who's speaking? Kara. Thank you, Kara. 6.3. 4. Don't look directly at the screen if this makes you dizzy. 6.3.
But then you go down to C of that section for the correlative.
Great. C. Correlative clauses. There's a handy little table. Does it just happen to be in the table?
Mhm.
Let's see. Ah, it is in the table. Lovely. So we have yata, just as, in the manner in which. And then we have tata, thus, in that way. So this is 2 other words that we can knock off of our translation. So we're kind of just like building up the words as we go, or the words of our understanding as we go. So we got dehin as embodied, or one with a body, asmin as in this, and now yata we have as meaning just as, or in this, in the manner in which. And then dehe, we didn't look it up, but we could do that as our next venture, given that we're pretty much done with this first line. Let me get back to Monier Williams.
I could suggest a thinking here, since we've already encountered dehi naha, you might reason, okay, deh has something to do, but here it's not in, but a. So I will look up just deh.
Great. Nice. Because the in, we realized, was added to the
Yeah.
beginning. So yeah, perfect. Yes, great. No match is found. What if we looked up dehe directly? Again, this is me working from a beginner's mind. Okay, no, not dehe. So, yeah, I guess, where would we go from here?
If you write it in Devanagari.
If you write it in Devanagari? Well, let's try.
Oh, Francis, you need to change exact to, you see in the middle you have a box exact to something like the beginning or whatever, containing
prefix?
or, yeah. No, the upper one, Yeah. Please change it to whatever option.
Yeah, it just has prefix, suffix, infix,
No.
substring.
The one that's chosen exact right now, please choose another option.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Do you see what the options are?
Yeah, click on it, please.
We can't see the options, I think, Francis.
Oh, you can't.
It looks
I
like
am clicking.
You're clicking on it.
Yeah, click on it.
Nothing's coming up.
Oh, okay. I am clicking on it, and the options that it gives me are prefix, suffix,
prefix.
And
prefix. Yeah.
Great. Let's try that first.
Yeah. And to the very right. Just change it to
Here you go. Here you go.
Okay, so here we go. We have day to plaster mold fashion, or it says the body. Actually, this is day ha, right?
Mm-hmm.
The body. And then we could conclude, because when we looked up Dehin, it said
Yeah, so we go to page 62 right away.
Page 62 in Goldman, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go there.
It's the most frequently visited page.
Oh, is this the Purusha?
Yeah.
Is it what's the table?
4.3.
4.33.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Here we go. Great. So we would look for the ending. So we saw the ending here is day hey. And when we look up A, we see that it is septimi. Septimi vipatti. So now we know that this is, well, it could be of or about the embodied, or from the embodied.
No,
So
it's locative in the body.
Oh no, I'm starting from the beginning. Sorry.
Oh, I see.
Federico. Just
Yeah.
recapping the words that we found.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Here we found this could be from or of the embodied. This is in this or in that. This is, what was it, the word, just as or in the manner of, and then in the body. So that's kind of like, without trying to make it into a like a logical, sensical statement, you could just have those parts to start, and then we could, once we finish we would finish the whole thing, kind of piece it together and see how it would make a logical construction. Anyhow, that's how I would go about it.
I didn't even know that in Monier Williams that you could do, I hadn't even seen the prefix and that, so that's really useful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Federico. Yeah,
I would look things up and they wouldn't be there, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm totally lost. But that's really useful.
There's a more general containing, but then the disadvantage
I didn't have that in the options, so I don't know if sometimes there's an advanced dictionary, but I thought
in the advanced version,
Yeah.
But then the more general it is, the more output you have, and then it's difficult. So you should balance.
Great. So how's this been? That's what we have time for today. But hopefully it was helpful. We did get through quite a bit, and my hope is that really, well, first of all, I think that when you just kind of look at a verse and you can already just pick out the things that are familiar, that's already sort of encouraging. Like, oh, there are things that I recognize mean something. Like, you don't have to know straight off and have it memorized right away, but the recognition of it's something familiar, and that you have a sense of, more or less where to go digging for it to get the meaning of it is helpful. And then going about it in the parts, I know that there is a very strategic approach when you're doing the translation, and where you're very apt with translating, of looking for the verb and then finding the noun, as Professor Bryant has encouraged us to do. And if you're at that level and that works for you, great. But if you're at a level of I just am picking out the things that I know, and I'm going to look for those things that I know, start with what is familiar and then kind of branch out from there would be my advice. But whatever works, we're all kind of working with what we have and what we know and what resources we have. So my hope was that today's kind of overview was encouraging to just look at what pops out, look it up as you can. And then, when there's parts where you get stuck, you can kind of leave that aside and come back to it later. Sometimes coming back with a fresh mind is helpful. And that also we have a whole community we can reach out to and lean on. So you could, email a buddy and see what they think. And this is also why we paired up and grouped up, so we can all help each other out with our varied backgrounds and understandings and level of study, to be able to support each other in this endeavor together.
Francis, may I say something?
Yes.
Okay. When you said we help each other, I realized that we can set up a WhatsApp group for issues. Do you guys know WhatsApp? In other language learning groups, we always have a WhatsApp group, and it was proven to be very effective for learning, because people would put up their issues, other people would chime in, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Sure. If this is something people are interested in, I don't know if there's somebody in the group besides Alice who would like to take on receiving emails from people who would be interested in joining a Sanskrit WhatsApp group, and then that person could coordinate. Because I think well, one, not everybody's comfortable with being on a WhatsApp group, and maybe some people don't want to be getting messages all the time about Sanskrit questions, but some people are really into it and they want to do that. So I think leave it open for the people that are really gung-ho and they'd like to be a part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, because originally it was raised, but the thing with the WhatsApp groups is that it can be really overwhelming. So that's why
we're in like different time zones, and like if I'm getting a midnight text about a dhatu.
Exactly.
But some people are into it, and I think that's great. So is anybody in the group? Yes, Eleonora.
No more WhatsApp groups.
No
Please.
more WhatsApp groups.
I beg you.
I thought Eleanor's volunteering, and her volunteering is to nix it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a lot of groups. I don't want to be, but
so popular.
Need to be because of neighbors, this, that. So no more WhatsApp groups. I beg you.
Okay. So whoever's coordinating it, don't invite Eleonora. You could cross her off the list. But does it? But very seriously, does anyone want to volunteer to be the?
That's not the intention, because if
I'm just.
okay, all right. No, I thought you were serious.
No, I'm just kidding around. I'm just joking. I'm just joking with you. But does anyone? Yeah, does anyone want to volunteer to coordinate that?
I don't think I'm technically well enough, but I would participate.
Okay, Diane is willing to participate, but already removing herself from the coordinator position.
Because I'm too bad.
Anyone that's actually...
if somebody wants to, just send me an email and we'll announce it at the next one.
We'll leave it like that.
Yeah. But there is the Facebook group, which obviously it's not that active, but there's like 60 people or something on there. So, there is the opportunity for it to be more active.
Posting questions up there, often they get answered quickly as well. Yeah.
Cool.
What
All right.
Take 10 minutes for breakout.
Facebook, you can follow something and it's there. So you go to the subject.
Yeah.
In WhatsApp, you miss it if somebody else pops with another.
This is true. This is a very true point.
It's really a mess to follow things in order. I mean, it takes a lot of time. You can do it, of course, but who has the time? Not me.
Yeah. Do we want to take 10 minutes just to have a quick breakout and break out into little groups and say hi?
Okay.
Does everyone want to do that, or?
Yeah, hang on. Let me put us into groups. Hang on.
We can just chat about how we're feeling at the end of everything for the summer, maybe, or anything that's on your mind.
Right.